It's estimated that over 85% of designers are introverts, and yet networking plays a significant role in our success. Sounds counterproductive, doesn't it? Well, it doesn't have to be. Hey there, my friend. Welcome to another episode of Resourceful Designer, your guide to building a thriving design business. I am your host, Mark Des Cotes, and today I'm discussing a topic that affects so many of us in the design community: networking as an introverted designer. Now stick around because I want to make sure that we cover everything that you need to know about building a meaningful professional relationship while staying true to your introverted nature. So if you happen to have the podcast playing in the background right now while you're working on something else, you may want to pay closer attention. Just saying. Now, it's kind of funny. Whenever I tell people that I'm an introvert, they look at me like I just told them that the earth is flat. But Mark, you're a podcast host. Mark, you speak at conferences. You teach other designers. There's no way you can be an introvert. Well, here's the thing, and this is really important to understand. Being an introvert isn't about being shy or antisocial. It's about where you get your energy from. And like many of you that are listening right now, I recharge my batteries through quiet time and solitude. Let me share something with you. October is Small Business Month. At least it is here up in Canada. I think the US celebrates it in May, if I remember correctly. Well, last month at the time that I'm recording this was Small Business Month, and I attended a local business networking event in honor of this event. You know the type of thing. Everyone's standing around with their drinks and their appetizers, trying to look important, while balancing their business cards and a plate of cheese cubes in one hand while trying to shake with the other. You know what I mean. Well, as an introvert, these events used to terrify me. But I've learned some strategies that not only make them manageable, but actually enjoyable. And that's what I want to share with you today. Now, before we dive into these strategies, let's talk about what being an introvert really means, especially in the context of running a design business. This isn't about being shy. Plenty of shy people are actually extroverts, and plenty of outgoing people are introverts. The key difference is energy management. Think of it like your phone battery. Extroverts charge their batteries by being around other people. The more interaction, the more charge they get. But us introverts, we're different. Social interactions drains our battery, and we recharge through solitude and reflection. And here's something fascinating that I actually learned while doing some research for this episode. Introverts often make excellent networkers precisely because of those traits. We tend to listen more deeply. We tend to form more meaningful connections. We tend to follow through more consistently. And we tend to prepare more thoroughly. And these aren't just admirable qualities. They're business advantages. In fact, research shows that the deep, lasting relationships that introverts tend to form often lead to more reliable client referrals than the broader, more superficial networking that sometimes results from traditional networking approaches. So being an introvert actually has some benefits. Now, with that said, let's talk about the first major mindset shift that changed everything for me. You have to stop thinking about networking as, well, networking. Now, I know that sounds strange, but stay with me here. The word networking itself carries all these uncomfortable connotations, doesn't it? It makes you think of awkward small talk, aggressive self-promotion, and that person at every event who's trying to hand out business cards like they're playing poker. Instead, I want you to start thinking about it as relationship building, or as one of my design friends call it, making friends who might one day need a website from you. Now, this isn't just semantic gymnastics. It's a fundamental shift in how you approach the situation. Think about it. When you're building relationships rather than quote-unquote networking, the whole dynamic changes. You're not there to collect as many business cards as possible or to pitch your services to everyone in sight. You're not there trying to quote-unquote work the room. When you're building relationships, you're focused on having great conversations, on finding common ground, on understanding other people's challenges, and seeing how you may help each other. You're there to make genuine connections with people who might become clients or collaborators or even friends. And that can be magical. Now let's get to the practical strategies that make this approach to networking work. One of the biggest advantages we introverts have is our natural tendency to prepare thoroughly. Let's use that to our advantage. Here's my system for preparing for networking events, and I promise you, it makes a huge difference. First, you should try to set monthly networking goals. Now, don't overwhelm yourself. Start with one event per month. Mark it in your calendar in red. For me, red means non-negotiable. I am doing this and there's no way I can back out. Next, and this is crucial, prepare your conversation starters. I know that you may be rolling your eyes right now, thinking to yourself that prepared conversation starters sounds so artificial. But here's the thing. Having prepared questions doesn't make you fake. It makes you considerate and professional. So some of the questions that I like to use when I go to events is, well, what brought you to this event? Or what's the most interesting project you're working on right now? Or how did you get started in whatever profession they said they are? Or even better, what's the biggest challenges you're facing in your business right now? Notice how none of these questions are yes or no questions. They're all open-ended. They're designed to start a conversation. Make sense? Because that's what networking is. Now let's talk about managing those in-person events that can feel so overwhelming to introverts. Here's a 3-part strategy that's never actually failed me before. 1, arrive early. I'm not talking just about being punctual. This is about energy management. Remember I talked about energy a while ago and how we have to recharge our batteries and all that stuff? Well, when you arrive early, it gives you time to get comfortable with the space before it fills up with so many people. It also lets you meet people gradually as they arrive. And it lets you position yourself in a spot where you feel comfortable. And by arriving early, you get to start conversations before big groups form. It's a lot easier. Now, the second thing I do is use natural gathering points instead of trying to break into existing conversation circles that could be intimidating. I usually try to position myself near some sort of natural traffic area. Maybe if there's a refreshment table, you can be close enough to it because people come and go from there. Or maybe it's the registration desk or near a presentation area. Or if you're at some sort of fancy event and they have some sort of interesting display, like maybe they have an ice sculpture or something else in the room with an interesting feature that people may come and take a look at. If you stand or just position yourself near that, you're going to find yourself in a position to be able to talk with people because people naturally gather in those spots, making it much easier to start conversations organically. And the third thing, and this is actually kind of my secret weapon, is I always set a goal to have 3 meaningful conversations with people. Not 30, not 20, not 10, not even 5. Just 3 conversations. And once I hit that goal, I give myself permission to leave. But here's what usually happens. By the time I've had those 3 conversations, I'm usually feeling comfortable enough to stay and see what happens. Let me share something that happened just when I attended last month. I attended WordCamp Canada here in Ottawa. And there was a certain point I felt particularly overwhelmed by the large crowd. This was during the lunch break. There was like a buffet style queue and everybody from the conference was standing in line, all gathered at once. And it was, a little overwhelming with so many people around. So once I made it through the line and I got my plate, I actually went in, I found a nice quiet corner of the conference hall to sit down and eat. But within minutes, 3 other attendees had wandered over and sat down near me, like not right next to me, but close enough to me. And what's funny is we initially struck up our conversation about the crowd and how they went. We all went to the same area to get away from the crowd. So we started talking about that. But the conversation then transformed. And we ended up having a fantastic discussion about the creative processes in web design. And I actually made some valuable connections, all because I honored my need for a quieter approach to networking. It's amazing if you take some small steps, how easy it becomes. Now, networking doesn't only take place at conferences and that sort of thing. Let's talk about something that plays right into our introvert strengths, and that's online networking, specifically emails and online communities. Now, as designers, we have many platforms where we can showcase our work and connect with others. There's all sorts of social media platforms we can use, and there's plenty of design communities. And there's even places designed specifically for this, stuff like Dribbble or Behance, where designers can converge and showcase and share stuff together. Not to mention, there are plenty of online communities in your niche. If you specialize in a certain niche, you can find communities in that niche that you can become a part of. Now, the beauty of online networking is that you can engage on your own terms and at your own pace. You can craft thoughtful responses, you can take your time doing it, you can share your work, and you can build relationships without the energy drain of in-person events. Many introverts excel in these online communities. Now, here's a powerful strategy that's perfect for introverts. It's the systematic email outreach. Create a spreadsheet or a list or whatever of everyone you know, past clients, colleagues, friends, family, anybody, and send them a well-crafted email explaining your design services and asking specifically for introductions to people who may need your help. Now, the key here is to be specific. Don't just say, let me know if you know anyone who needs design work. That's too broad, too open. Instead, say something like, I'm looking to connect with small business owners who might need to have their branding redone or who may need a logo. Do you know anybody who fits this description? I'd love their contact information so that I can reach out directly. You're asking for something specific. And when you do that, it's much easier to get a response. And even if this approach doesn't produce an immediate response, you're putting it out there for when the situation does present itself to your friend, your colleague, your family, whoever. After all, networking is a long game. I've said it before on this podcast. It's not who you know, it's who knows you. For people to get to know you, you have to network. Now, here's something that may help you with your networking efforts. Create a simple yet effective system for managing relationships. You don't need some fancy software. You can start with a basic spreadsheet or even a sheet of paper if you want. And here's what you want to track. You want to track the contact's name and their basic information. You want to write down how you met them. You want to write down what you discussed, what their interests are or their challenges if they talk about them. You also want to put down a follow-up date. Set a date in the future to follow up with them. And make sure to share or to mark down any personal details that they shared with you. And the key to this strategy is consistency. Set calendar reminders for follow-ups. I do this. I set it in my calendar. I'll go a few months ahead and I'll set a reminder in my calendar to contact a certain client or a certain person that I met about something. I try to review my lists monthly and reach out to at least 3 people with something valuable. I don't always do it, but I try. That's kind of my goal, is to reach out to 3 people and either share some sort of article they may find interesting or maybe share a resource that could help them or just checking in on a project they mentioned. I did this just yesterday. I came across a great article from it was a horse farm's marketing strategy, and I decided to pass the article along to a client of mine who raises horses. So gestures like this are a form of networking. Even forget that. Remember what I said earlier. It's not really networking, it's relationship building. And this is a great way to do that. Now, I want to talk about managing large events, such as huge conferences. These can be particularly challenging for introverts, but they're also incredibly valuable for our businesses. I come away with several new clients every time I attend a podcast conference, which, if you're unaware, is the niche that I specialize in for design. Now, here's my conference survival guide. 1. Before the conference happens, I make sure to download the conference app if there is one and familiarize myself with it. I review the schedule and mark any must-attend sessions that I really have to go to. I also research the speakers to see who's going to be speaking. And if possible, I look to see who the attendees are, because some of them you may want to meet. So I look through to see if there's anybody that fits that description. If there is, I try to connect with them on social media beforehand. You can send a quick note on LinkedIn or whatever and just say, hey, I see you're attending this event. I'll be there too. And I thought I'd reach out and connect with you. And a quick note saying that you can't wait to meet them really helps to break the ice when you actually do meet them in person at the event. And it'll make you that much more memorable. Now, at the event, it's all about energy management. I always book a room at the conference hotel. I know sometimes it's a little expensive and other people say, well, you can find another room cheaper, like a block away or, across town or whatever. But I always want to have a room at the hotel because, for one, this makes it really easy. If I'm feeling overwhelmed or anything like that, I can easily retreat to my room and recharge if I need to take a quick break. Now, beside the room, I try to schedule deliberate breaks between sessions. The thing with events is they have a lot of sessions, but you don't have to attend every single session. Sometimes it's okay to sit something out and either just go take a break or, honestly, some of the best networking I've ever done was in the hallway of a conference while the sessions were going on, because the hallways were mostly empty and I was much more comfortable talking to people out there. And I have had some great conversations, met some wonderful people by doing this, skipping the sessions and talking to people out in the hall. Another thing you can do for your energy is when it comes time for meals or lunches, you could just go eat solo. Just go somewhere, sit down in a nice quiet place, or maybe it's not during lunch. Even if it's just sometime during the event, they often have places for you to sit down. And I'll do that. I'll just go sit down somewhere, maybe take out my phone, play a game on my phone or something while I recharge a little bit. There are so many ways, even at a huge conference with hundreds or thousands of people, that introverts can still manage. Now, for these big things, there's a strategic way to network. For one, many of these events have some sort of workshop that are in smaller groups. I try to focus on a lot of those, attend those. Sometimes they'll have little round tables where 5 or 6 people will gather and you'll talk and you'll discuss things. And then after maybe a set amount of time, after 10 minutes, everybody moves to a different table and you meet new people. So that way you're meeting in small groups. And again, I've made some great connections doing these sort of workshops. They're a lot of fun. Whenever you attend a session and it has a really interesting topic, you can use that as a natural conversation starter. You see somebody out in the hallway afterwards that it was at one of the sessions that you were at, they attended the same one. Bring it up. Ask them about it. Ask them their thoughts. You can also go to the speakers. The people that present at these events are just regular people as well. And a lot of them would love to connect with you and talk to you about what they presented, especially if you have more questions for them. Don't be afraid to do that. And if the event has smaller activities, maybe join those instead of joining the big ones. It may not seem like it, but an introvert can thrive at a large conference. As I said, every time I go, I end up with many clients afterwards. In fact, let me tell you about the last podcast conference I went to. It was actually a couple of years ago. I haven't gone in the last couple of years, but the last one I went to, I actually volunteered to help at one of the vendors' booths for an hour. This was a vendor that knew me. I had been to this conference many times, like I'd gone repeatedly year after year. And I'd gotten to know this one vendor and I knew their product well enough that as I was talking to him one day, he said something about how they hadn't had a chance to go for lunch. And I said, well, why don't you go for lunch? I'll man the booth. I'll stay here and talk to anybody. I know your product. And he knew that I knew the product. And he agreed. So he took off. They were gone for about 45 minutes while they went out and grabbed the bite. And you know what? It was perfect for me. It gave me a defined role. I was there manning the booth. But it made networking so much easier. I didn't have to do anything. People came to me if they were curious about the booth, and I had a natural reason to start conversations. And what's funny is when I explained to the people that I was just there temporarily manning the booth, but I could answer some questions, but otherwise they'd have to come back. Oftentimes the conversation then turned to who was I and what did I do? And I even landed some clients from that 45 minutes that I spent manning this booth for this vendor. because some of the people were intrigued enough by what I had to say that they became clients of mine. It's funny. Some of the best networking happens when you're not trying to network at all. Now, one of the most powerful things you can do as an introverted designer is belong to a community. This might sound counterintuitive. After all, isn't the whole point of being introverted trying to avoid too much social interaction? But hear me out here. When you join a community of like-minded people, you're creating a space where networking starts to feel natural. Relationships develop organically. You can contribute on your own terms, and you have control over your involvement. Now, this could be stuff like local meetup groups or online community forums, a mastermind group perhaps, or even just some Slack channels for people in your niche. I mean, the Resourceful Designer community is an excellent example of this. You get to interact with fellow designers who understand you. It's a great place to practice your networking skills. And let me tell you, many friendships and even partnerships have been formed in the Resourceful Designer community. Now, I would love if you would join mine, but any community will help you. Look to see what's out there and join one. And if you do, please participate. Lurkers, those who just join a community to read and not really partake, they rarely gain anything concrete from staying quiet. It's the people that partake, the people who get involved, even a little bit, they gain so much for being part of a community. And all of that is considered networking or relationship building. Okay, now let's get serious and talk about something that we don't discuss often enough, and that's managing the anxiety that comes with networking. Because even though I'm making it sound so simple, I know how tough it is for many people because I was there. I've gotten better with it over the years, but I remember years ago how nervous I would get and scared for these events. So here are some techniques that may work for you. One, you can try breathing exercises. They've never been my thing, but I know many people that swear by them. If they start getting nervous or anxious, they just do some breathing exercise and it really helps them. Another thing you could do is try reframing your thoughts. Instead of thinking, I have to network, think, hey, I get to meet interesting people who might need my help. Just changing your mindset a little bit can alter your perception of what you're doing. And remember to set boundaries. It's okay to take breaks. It's okay to leave early if you're feeling overwhelmed. It's okay to actually say no to some events. Choose the networking methods that work for you. Because networking in all sorts of forms can be a great experience, even for an introverted designer. Now, here's what I want you to do after listening to this episode. This week, today or tomorrow, create your kind of relationship management spreadsheet. I want you to list a bunch of your current contacts and try to schedule one networking event that you want to attend next month, either online or in person. Then, later this week or next week or sometime this month, I want you to send out personalized emails to the top 10 people on your contact list. And all it has to say is, do you know anybody that's looking for, and name something specific. Don't just say looking for designs. Name something specific. Looking for a new website, looking for a logo design, something specific. And ask them if they know anybody and could they pass on their contact information to you. Something else you should try to do within the next, say, 30 days is find an online design community to join. As I said, they're invaluable. I've been part of many. Actually, I'm still part of a few, including my own, the Resourceful Designer community, which is the one I really hope you join. But as I said, join any of them and participate. You will learn so much and be able to grow as a designer and as a business person through interaction with other designers who are going through the same thing that you are. And the other thing I want you to do is practice your conversation starters. I mentioned some questions earlier that you can use. Practice those or come up with your own version of your conversation starters and practice them and to the point where they become natural. And then sometime within the next quarter, so the next 3 or 4 months, try to attend one in-person event. It could be a small local event. It doesn't have to be with hundreds of people, but maybe a small event that's happening in your area. Try to go and meet people. And when you do, try to follow up with the people you meet within 24 to 48 hours after meeting them. Even if it's just a, hey, it was great meeting you. If you ever want to discuss anything, here's my contact information. So those are some things that you can try to help yourself out. Now remember, being an introvert isn't a networking disadvantage. It's actually a superpower when you learn to use it correctly. Your ability to listen deeply, to form meaningful connections, and to maintain relationships through thoughtful follow-ups are exactly what makes for successful business relationships. And that's all stuff that introverts excel at. So you've already got everything that you need to become a successful networker. In fact, as I said at the beginning, introverts make better networkers than extroverts. Sounds strange, but it's true. So give it a try. Now, I'd love to hear how these strategies work for you. Head on over to resourcefuldesigner.com and you can send me an email using my feedback form there. Or better yet, join the community at resourcefuldesigner.com/community, where you can connect with me and other designers who understand exactly what it is you're going through. So that's it for this episode of Resourceful Designer. I am Mark Des Cotes, wishing you all the best. Until next time, stay creative. Now I'm keeping this going. This is another one of Wayne Henderson's intro that he recorded for me. You're looking for a voiceover guy? Wayne's the person you want to get. You can visit him at mediavoiceovers.com.
And now, your host. He's had several dream cars over the years, but never owned any of them. Fingers crossed, Mark. Fingers crossed. Mark Des Cotes.
Yep, I've had many choices over the years. I'm currently leaning towards the BMW 3 Series. But who knows?